Hello. Hello and good evening to you. Tis yet another episode of Ideology. It is I, Comrade Polov, here to entertain you tonight. Yeah, I mean, you got to have a late night stream, right? Don't turn around, whoa. The commissar's in town, whoa. Good evening. Nazdrovia to all of you out there. Kalishnikov. At the stroke of one, expect the first ghost. Ding. Oh. Late night over here, 10 p.m. American Samoa time. Sending my love, brother. Oh, damn. A Samoan. Cool. I know that there's a lot of poverty in Samoa, but I think the people that live in Samoa are pretty fucking lucky because from what I've seen of it, it's one of the most beautiful places on the planet. '49ers bullied your Eagles. That's extra bad too because nobody wants to take a loss to the fucking Niners. The Niners, easily my most hated football team. The biggest rivals of my favorite football team, the good old Vegas Raiders. And you know what, dude? There's a lot of people, Californians like myself, that are salty about the Raiders moving to Vegas. But you know what? We treated them like shit. Dude, if you've ever been to Oco Stadium, Oakland Coliseum, I don't even know if they might be tearing it down. Dude, that was one of the most raggedy, ghetto, fucking horrible, falling apart, non-functional fucking places that a major NFL team played. So, California did the Raiders dirty, and now they've got like a fucking Death Star for a stadium. The Vegas Raiders Stadium looks like some kind of like futuristic space transport ship. It's got to be one of the fucking craziest looking stadiums on the planet. Pismo ideology meetup. I don't know, dude. Like I like meeting you guys and stuff, but when I go to Pismo, I'm fucking there to like decompress, man. I don't want to be on. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? You guys understand what I'm saying when I say that? Like if I go to Pismo, I don't have to be on. I don't have to be like in people pleaser mode. I want to just like woosah, you know? I remember watching it being built and I knew it would be dope. I never like watched any of the building of it, but when I saw it for the first time, it was a while back, is it like a year ago or so? I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then when I went back to Vegas just a couple months ago for the meetup, fucking was just as striking. Woosah. Woosah. That's the phrase that you say when you want to kill everybody. But you can't. You just gotta come to grips with it. You say woosah. Moscow meetup via tanks win. Huh? Nah, dude. I ain't going to no Moscow. You are crazy. Man. This is one of those nights where I was like, do I want to stream? And it wasn't like immediately like no. So I was like, all right, maybe. But it was a hard maybe. I don't know. I just found myself doing something and I was like, dude, if I'm this bored, why don't I stream and just hang out for a little bit, socialize? I was watching the fucking GOP debate from 3 weeks ago and laughing at it. And then I was like, what the fuck? If I'm doing this, I gotta be, you know what I mean? Like streaming has gotta be better than that. But now I'm not so sure. They were being spicy with each other at that fucking thing. A Biola meetup, dude? No. No. Then you hit the go live button and you filled with regret. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much dead on how it went, etc. I guess I'll just try and get high, see where that leads me. Well, higher anyway. O Block meetup in Chirac. Okay. You first, buddy. You go in first. Smoked a fat joint earlier. Nice. Paul, what should I get from Taco Bell? The 3 crunchy taco meal and get you a bean burrito or two on the side of that, homie. And enjoy your Mountain Dew. The classic taco is the way to go, man. Like, look, they're called Taco Bell. They're not called fucking Quesadilla Bell. All right. Taco Bell. Cravings box. Yeah, that's what Amelia gets. She likes the cravings box. You get a little, you get one of a lot of different things, and that's cool. I'm too old school though, man. Give me my fucking, if I'm feeling spicy, give me a Nachos Bel Grande. I made a mistake the last time I ordered from Taco Bell. I'll tell you that fucking much. Made a big mistake. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get one of those Mexican pizzas. Man, that was not good. That was bad in every way. I was like, oh man, this is fucked. I screwed up. I should have just got another taco. Oh yeah, you got to eat those tacos quick for sure. Like they will get soggy for sure. Yeah, my Mexican pizza was broken. You know what I mean? Like, so it was like it was a Mexican pizza in pieces. It was fucked, man. It's like, damn it. And I knew before I ordered it. It's like there's a reason they got rid of this out of the because it sucked usually, but I don't know. And see, that's why I don't try out all these fancy fucking foo things over there, dude. If I want some Taco Bell, give me the tacos. Give me tacos or give me death. take care of that thing, Paulie. Oh, forget about it. Forget about it. It's done. I mean, quesadillas are probably the easiest fucking thing in the world to make. It's literally like a two-step process, you know? Put cheese on tortilla, then heat up tortilla on the stove, fold in half, bada bing, you got a case of fucking, yeah, you know? Like, what is it? Like, I don't even know. I don't even like whatever to each their own, but I feel like I just don't understand when people get quesadillas unless you're getting one that's like all loaded up with different shit. If you're just getting like a cheese quesadilla somewhere, it's like, what the fuck? What's wrong with you? Who hurt you? Gotta love it. Gotta love the random middle of the night ideology. It's always welcome. It's always good times, even when it's bad times. Paul, no offense. Your mom's enchiladas sounded white trash as fuck. No, they are. She calls them okie enchiladas. They are not like meant to be a traditional Mexican dish. They're fucking delicious though. But yeah, no, they're not. They're pretty much not like most enchiladas. I mean, they're definitely not trying to be traditional. Paul, season 4 of Sopranos is considered the worst, slowest of the season. Is rated lowest of all the season. Do you agree with that assessment? I don't remember what one is the fourth season. What's the arc? Like I don't really think of shows in seasons usually, maybe outside of like the final season and the first season. But what is the story arc of the fourth season? And I'll tell you. Is that the one where Tony's wounded or whatever? Oh, Adriana and the feds. Oh no, dude. I don't know. I don't know why people don't like that season. Yeah, Richie Aprile and Janice. Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why that would be a low rated season. That's a great season. I think they're all great, honestly. So I don't think there's a bad season of the show. Season 4 ends with the separation. That's probably why people hated it because they didn't want to see Tony and Carmela get broken up or whatever. It's like, just fucking stay tuned, man. Not every breakup is final. Something wrong with it if you get a Taco Bell quesadilla. They have a special sauce on them that make them good. You can buy that sauce for like $5 at the store. The Taco Bell branded sauce, and then fucking make your own quesadillas with it. Like what? Like does adding a sauce make it too complex for you? Like you're good with like folding up some cheese in a tortilla and heating it up, but you're not good with throwing some sauce down on that bitch. Yeah. I watched The Wire. It's fantastic. I'll probably rewatch The Wire in a couple of years. I don't think I could dive back into it again so soon. It's been probably about a year since I finished it. And yeah, I really liked it. What's my favorite cheese? Smoke Perp got all the questions tonight, dude. It's my favorite cheese. I don't know. I guess like sharp cheddar cheese. I like cheddar. Give me that cheddar cheese, man. What's your favorite? What's your favorite? Hard part of cooking a quesadilla is not screwing up the meat. I mean, I don't think it's all that hard. Oh yeah, Gruyere. Yeah, that is some posh ass fucking shit. You can keep that shit, man. Just give me some cheddar. Give me cheddar or give me death. What caused True Blood to go downhill in your opinion? It got too soap opery. I don't know. I haven't seen True Blood in so long that I was basically a different person when I watched it last. So it's one of the ones that I mean to maybe go back and take another look at because I remember I did really like the early seasons of True Blood, but it did fall off at some point for sure. It just got a little melodramatic and weird. Yeah, Gruyere is bougie as fuck for sure. People only watch True Blood for the sex scenes. I mean, that's every HBO show. Every HBO show's got to have sex scenes. I think they're goofy, dude. Like, I don't know, dude. I think that when they like throw sex scenes into movies, very rarely does it actually like look like actual sex is going on. Every once in a while, a movie will like be real committed to like realism or whatever. But most of the time, it looks like Tommy Wiseau having sex with that chick's belly button. You know what I mean? That's got to be the best one, dude. He is fucking. He is 2 clicks north of where he needs to be with that dick, and he is thrusting it. So he must. She must have a deep ass, tight ass belly button. I don't know what to tell you, because he's way too far north. He's in the Arctic Circle. He needs to be in the tropics. You know what I mean? He needs to find the equator and go a little south. Oh, well, yeah. You're at a wedding in the Colorado mountains. That's going to happen. That's the thing. That'll be a thing. The Egghead Show. Da-da-da-da-da-da. An X-Wing. It's the Egghead Show. Do 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 do. You're a mean one, Mr. Paul. Your heart's as black as coal. You've got spinal meningitis. You've got spiders in your soul, Mr. Grinch. I wouldn't touch you with a 99.5 foot pole. How's your bathtub looking? Dude, I remember that shit. That bathtub was shameful, bro. I think it was me and Beyond Fear that like made you clean it. We made you stream it while you cleaned it because it was a travesty, bro. And it looks so much better once you cleaned it too. Who wins, Egghead versus Peyton? Dude, I think Peyton rocks Egghead's shit. Peyton looks like he's got a fucking wicked punch to him, dude, if he wants to. Yeah, dude. Peyton is a square jawed Giga Chad, dude. You don't even know. An Egghead is a soy boy. Beyond Fear, shoulda, coulda, woulda, Paul. It's complicated. It's a complex look. I was at a complex place in my life, okay? Do you quack? Complex is definitely a word, yes. Absolutely strange and crazy and almost a little bit dreamlike, that era of my life. I've never flown by the seat of my pants harder than I flew for about 6 months there at that point in my life. That was definitely an experience, man. You were free. Yeah, free free in a ultimately unsustainable and unrealistic way. But yes. I'd imagine it's just like boom, you're now an internet personality. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really realize it at the time, but that's what was going on around me. And I was, I mean, just a lot of shit went on, like a lot of fucking huge seismic shifts in my life at that point. And I dealt with it the best I knew how, which was not at all. But it worked out. I mean, fuck it. I landed on my feet eventually, and everything's gravy. Gravy train, biscuit wheels, the whole nine. But yeah, things were touch and go there for a while. And I don't think I cared either. That's the fucked up thing about it. Like, it was very out of character for me to be as cavalier as I was during those days of just like, I don't have a house. Oh, well, I'll figure that out after we get back from LA and Ohio. And, you know what I mean? Like, we'll secure lodgings at some point. We're just going to live in hotels for a while. The Starbucks in Chandler, Arizona could see you now. Oh, yeah. I want to go get a drink over there one day. These days when I'm passing through the Phoenix area, I'm going to go up that Chandler and Dobson Starbucks. If it's still there, it might have closed down because it's not a drive through. Basically had the YouTube version of an overnight hit song. Kinda, yeah. Just I hopped on the drunken peasants train. I'm not saying I was responsible, but at that time they were really like jumping up and views and jumping up in prominence. And it just went higher and higher while I was with the show. And it was crazy, man. It's crazy life. You know, now I've been doing this job for so long that it doesn't seem as novel to me anymore in that way. I still love doing it. Like, it's still far and away the best gig I've ever had for sure, but I feel like I'm more used to it now. Did we finally get the inside scoop of why DP ended? No. You guys gotta understand, like, there's a couple of things, right? Number one, when you do business, nobody wants to do business with you if you shit on your previous employers, especially in like this type of work. Like, if I were to go and shit all over Ben or shit, and at this point in my life, I got to be honest with you, I don't even really want to. Like, I don't hold animosity for Ben. But you know what I mean? Like, if I were to like give the whole story or whatever, it would not paint everybody involved in the greatest light. And just not something I'm interested in doing. Like, I don't feel like dragging that show through the mud. I love that show. You know, I still got a big place in my heart for that show. And honestly, for Ben, he and I never really got along, but you know, whatever. Like, I had a lot of good times on that show, and he facilitated a lot of that, and I'm thankful for it. And that's where I'm at with that now. Like, I just really don't feel like it behooves me at all to. And I'll be honest with you, if I was to just go like, and here's the whole thing, it wouldn't be shocking. Like, you guys have probably already heard 99% of it. It's not like it's just, you know. The Egghead Show. Oh no, an X-Wing. Pew, 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 pew. The Egghead Show. Whatever. I think portraying Harkonnens as one race in part one is an attempt to show their connection to fascism. I mean, yeah, I mean, the Harkonnens are definitely like, the funny thing is that Dune is a novel about fascism. It's about various levels of fascism. Paul Atreides in the first book fights as a rebel against the fascist oppression of the Padishah Emperor and his pawns, the Harkonnens. And and then over the course of the next book, he becomes the fascist. The jihad in his name sweeps across the galaxy, putting to the sword anybody who won't bend the knee to Muad'Dib of Arrakis. And he scours the galaxy of his enemies. And he kind of like is out of control with it at some point. Like, he loses control over the movement to an extent. And so he you know, through various plot devices and stuff, seeks to kind of distance himself from things because of just like the sheer weight of his prescience weighs heavily on him. And then, of course, he's exiled, basically. And his son and daughter are the focus of the next book. And his son grows up to be the fucking tyrant worm. Reigns for 10,000 years as a hybrid human sandworm. And he's, you know, kind of like the ultimate fascist. So definitely a book, definitely a very political book. Touches on matters of not only like, you know, politics and the different flavors it comes in, but the interplay that it has with religion. Did you hear Mr. Repzian is quitting YouTube? No. I mean, nothing against the dude, but I didn't even know he was still doing YouTube, so good for him, I guess. What happens to him at the end of that 10K years? I mean, it's tough to explain. He basically institutes the mechanisms by which he will be assassinated, and the like sand, I can't remember what they're called, like not sandworms, sand trouts. So there are all these little tiny organisms all over his body that make him into the worm called sand trout. And when he's killed, he falls into a river, and those sand trout leave his body. And ostensibly, they're going out to spawn new sandworms. So it's almost like he institutes the re-desertification of Arrakis and the reintroduction of sandworms, which by that book are pretty much extinct because Arrakis has been terraformed to such an extent that there are no deserts anymore and the worms can't live. So anyway, that's what happens to him. But it's a lot more obviously politically involved with that than that. It involves Duncan Idaho, the most tragic character in all of Dune, because he's the only one that's just not allowed to die and be at rest. Which book dives into the sandworms creating the spice? Will Dune 2 address that? I don't know if Dune really fully addresses anything other than that there's a connection between the worms and the spice. I mean, it's definitely intimated that they create the spice, but I don't know that it's fully explained in book one. What actors would you like to see play upcoming big roles? I mean, all the upcoming big roles are pretty cast. Like Fade Routh is being played by Austin Butler. Obviously, Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya reprise their roles as Paul and Shawnee. You know, all the existent characters are reprising their roles, so there's really not a lot of characters to be introduced in the second half of the book that I care enough about to worry about their casting, to be honest with you. So the worms have a hive mind. Do they have a will of their own? I don't think hive mind is the way to put it. The spice is created. basically by like worm poop. It's worm excretions or whatever the fuck. And the reason it has this potent psychoactive effect that, in Paul's case, because of his Bene Gesserit training and lineage, leads to true prescience, meaning that he can see the future in its many and varied forms. That they are connected in some way to one another, but as individuals. That's how I understand it. We get to meet the Emperor in the second movie. Yes. Yeah. And that's Christopher Walken will be playing the Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV. Edric the Navigator. I don't know that we're going to get a Dune Part 3, honestly. Like I want to wait to see if there's any kind of will for that to happen. I guess it all kind of depends on whether or not this one's a big smash hit or not. Yeah, it's kind of a against book casting because Emperor Shaddam IV is old in the books, but he's undergone rejuvenation, surgical rejuvenation, and therapies, medicinal therapies and stuff that make him appear like he's about 40, but he's really a couple hundred years old or some shit. And so casting an old guy to play him seems to be the norm. David Lynch did it. Not a super old guy, but the guy that played him in the Lynch Dune was old. And now we're getting Christopher Walken. So it's interesting, though. Maybe a Dune HBO series. That's the dream, honestly. Like, even with these movies, as cool as I think they are, they skip over so much dialogue and character development. It's just like, I felt like, I don't know, like Piter de Vries, like these kind of like secondary characters. Piter de Vries, the shout out Mapes, the housekeeper lady, fucking Dr. Yui, even Gurney Halleck. Like, these characters are left just kind of like with very little. Like, the one thing that you get to define Gurney Halleck is the fight scene where at the beginning of the first movie where he duels Paul or whatever and goads him into a real knife fight. The Harkonnens are brutal. So all we really know about this guy is like he's a soldier guy who hates the Harkonnens, but Gurney Halleck is like this weird kind of drunkard of a bard, really like lighthearted kind of character that doesn't really shine through in either of the movies. Gurney Halleck was played by Captain Picard in the 84 Dune. So yeah, you don't really get, very stodgy performance. So I feel like you miss out on a lot of that character development that would be so great for a fucking HBO series. That's the dream. Because I think if you got like a 10-part fucking HBO mini series or whatever, you could go crazy with Dune. Probably going to get a Dune Part 12 and like 30 spinoffs. We'll see. I mean, wouldn't necessarily be against it. The Dune universe is huge. There are tons of novels in the extended Dune universe or whatever. I've noticed rewatching part one that the Harkonnens are all one race with the same haircut, whereas the other houses we see are multiracial. Yeah, it's explained in the books that the Harkonnens' home planet Giedi Prime has a weak sunlight that's exacerbated by the industry of the planet. And so the people from Giedi Prime are unnaturally pale. Now, them being bald and shit was a design decision made by Denis Villeneuve that isn't really borne out in the books. The Harkonnens have red hair. That is one of their defining features. And it becomes important later in the book for a big revelation as well. And so, you know, the Baron is described as having a shock of red hair on his head, and he's always bald. And well, no, that's not true. And then Lynch Dune, he had red hair. And so making him all very bald and no eyebrows and pale and kind of like creeping him up and making him a little non-human was a design decision on the part of Denis Villeneuve. They're really like, the Baron is just described as a great fat aristocrat. So he's described in the books as being enormously fat, moving around with the gravity belt, and wearing like fine silk gloves with lace ruffles and rubies on his fingers and gold around his neck, and just like very like foppish and, you know, like regal. He's not described as this like kind of dirty leather trench coat wearing, you know, that's all kind of like interpretations that are, they're kind of spun for the movies. Good morn. Well, machines replacing humanity's natural traits is a plot point in Dune, in the Dune universe, but I don't think the Harkonnens are meant to be an example of it in particular. The Tleilaxu are the people who are kind of dabbling in that type of technology. The Bene Tleilax, and there's another one too. There's another like house, the ones that make the axolotl tanks or whatever that the Golars are made in. Like cyborgs? Not really. Like reproductions, I guess would be the best way to put it. Like being able to take a piece of a human and being able to recreate that human in its entirety with all its memories and stuff intact. Ix, yeah, it's Ixians are the other things that I'm thinking about. Now the Tleilaxu are part of it as well, but to my knowledge, the Tleilaxu are really just trying to breach the protocols against thinking machines. They're trying to create a machine that has prescience. So a machine that can basically do what Leto II, the worm god, can do. Are there any significant thinking machine characters? I mean, kind of cyborg-esque, but so he dies in the first movie, Duncan Idaho, and then a piece of his body is brought to the Tleilaxu, and they regrow him in an axolotl tank. And parts of him are synthetic, not necessarily machinery. I guess biological machinery would be the best way to put it. And he is constantly brought back throughout the thousands of years covered in the book. He's the one through character in the entire novel. Everybody else comes and goes. And so he is the, you know, and like the whole thinking machine. You're talking about like, are you talking about mentats? Because mentats are the ones that are trained, the human beings who are trained to push their brains beyond human limits so that they can do computer-like calculations without computers. So the Duncan Idaho Gola is also a Mentat. Chased everybody off with this nerdiness. I think some of the later books venture into that territory, Smokepurpp, but nobody really like. I mean, yeah, by the end, Muad'Dib Jihad, which consolidated power under the Atreides family, is fraying at the edges under Leto II's leadership. There are plots within plots, so it does fall apart, kind of by his design. And there's definitely like the Ixians and the Tleilaxu, and to a certain extent the Bene Gesserit, are kind of conspiring to break the taboo of machines, basically, in the hopes of inventing a machine that can do what Leto does, which is have prescience. You even get computers that manage to replace Guild Navigator ships, but they're not characters. It's just like a nav computer. Yeah. But I mean, that's one of the goals that they want to accomplish. They want to create a thinking machine that can do the Guild Navigator's job, so that they're no longer in need of the spice that Leto II keeps hoarded away and is very miserly with dishing out. They want to be able to travel without moving, to fold space without the help of Guild Navigators who are just human beings that are horribly mutated by their spice addiction. And so currently, in the novels, in the original novels of Dune, the only way to travel between the stars, and thus to get any trading done, move any military equipment, etc., requires a Guild Navigator. And so that's the ultimate machine that they're trying to make, that the Ixians are trying to make, is a machine that can do because that's how Leto keeps his stranglehold on all of the houses of the Landstrahd and all of the interested parties and different factions. They all need his spice. They can't slight him, because if he cuts off their spice, then they're basically marooned on whatever planet they're on. They can't, can't conduct trade, can't move around. It's just not an excuse. Why is Duncan cloned throughout the series? Because Leto II, Paul's son, Leto the First's grandson, loved Duncan Idaho so much, and he keeps him around as a reminder, like into the God Emperor book. He keeps him around basically as a reminder of the way things used to be. He's like a living museum piece almost. And he wants a Duncan Idaho. He basically makes him, keeps him around until he gets rebellious, and then has him killed. And he's hoping with each iteration of Duncan Idaho that he can convince Duncan Idaho that what he's doing to the galaxy and what he's doing with his prescience is for the greater good of humanity. And Duncan Idaho, as soon as he learns what it is that Leto's up to, is just opposed to it in the same way every time, and it just plays out the same way every time. He starts out as really loyal to Leto, and then he kind of learns the machinations that Leto is going through and witnesses how Leto deals with things, and slowly but surely becomes disillusioned with Leto's leadership and then outright rebellious against it. And then Leto has him killed and has a new golem made. So it's a truly horrific existence. But why male models? Paul, I heard you mention a book you like called Ishmael in a previous stream. What is it about it, and would you still recommend it? You will like if you will not think about the world in exactly the same way after reading Ishmael, and I can't really say that about most books. Ishmael really truly woke me up to the environmental crisis and just the preciousness and uh, singularity of life on this planet. Like it's a barrier breaking book, and it will make you challenge assumptions that you have about the world, and it's great for that. And it's a pretty short book and a really easy read, and really interesting as well. Primitivism, sort of, yeah. More of just an open and honest critique of civilization and what it costs, and the assumptions that people make about its existence and their um their right to it. It's just a really thought-provoking book. You know, it doesn't jam its premise down your throat. It invites you to engage in like basically an interrogative process with the book, you know, and question your own positions on things. Dialogue with a Socratic gorilla. Yeah. I mean, that is what it is about. Everything is not only connected, everything is one. When it comes to life, we are all children of the same single-celled fucking microorganism. The same proto-bacteria or proto-algae or whatever it is, protoplankton, you know, like we are all that. When I say we, I mean the trees, I mean the fucking weeds and the wasps and the bears and the rhinos and everything on this planet. We're all the we're it is all us. There is no us and them. There's no us and it. We are nature and nature is us. All carbon-based life forms, all descended from the same mother cell. The family tree of life has one set of roots. We're all from the same tree. It's fucking mind-blowing. And the ethical implications of that are something that people keep at arm's length. They like to think that progress is, as it stands, worth it. Pretty crazy. When I explain that, people get mad. That's because human beings have a delusion about our own divinity amongst the animals, due largely to Abrahamic faiths that don't acknowledge, a kind of interconnected creation. They set man apart. We among all animals were made in the image of God. He made us from the earth and breathed into our nostrils the breath of life. So we're, like from the jump in modern Abrahamic religions, we are different. And people are very married to that fact because it allows them to excuse a lot of fucking destruction and degradation and, just mass extinction events and die-offs and all that shit with, like, oh, well, we're the stewards of this planet. We have to build it up because that's what we were, created to do. And it's just like, huh? Multiple people in my areas were bit by copperheads on the trails. Nature's about to kick us out of the tree. I don't think so. Although I do love that the killer whales are trying, you know, killer whales trying to, they're out there sinking yachts and shit. Mushrooms taught me about the connections. I was the air, the light, the dark, and everything in between. That is one of the reasons why psychedelics, is particularly psilocybin, is for so many people such an important experience. Super important experiences for me. Every time that I've taken mushrooms, I've had a memorable and important realization about the nature of myself and the world around me. And it's potent, and it definitely broadens the mind and broadens your way of thinking. And that feeling of oneness with everything that you described is, the pursuit object of a lot of the religions on this planet. Would you recommend shrooms to someone with a panic disorder or no? I mean, I have I don't recommend anything to anybody. You got to do your own homework on it. Now, on that, I will say I have a panic disorder and I've taken mushrooms many times and I've been fine. That doesn't mean it's right for you. That doesn't mean it's a good question or a good thing for you to do. Because I'm not recommending it. I'm just letting you know that it's been okay for me. If you're gonna try anything, I recommend starting small. Don't take a fucking huge fistful of the motherfuckers the first time you do it. Make sure you're around people you trust. People that aren't gonna fuck with you. People that'll help talk you down if necessary and take care of you. And there you go. Just be responsible about it. But I've had super profound experiences on psychedelics. Inexplicably profound in most cases. Just kind of deep feelings rather than ideas. I mean, I've tripped alone, I've tripped with friends. I prefer tripping with people, but only if they're, like not just any people. Only if they're people that I really like having around me. Like if I've ever tripped with you, know that, at the very baseline, I think you're good people. You know what I mean? Because like I don't. If I'm around somebody that I think is fucked up or shady or, whatever the fuck, I'm not tripping. I don't like tripping around people I don't know well either. That's another bugaboo of mine. Because I've learned not to trust people until you know them for a while. You usually don't get to meet the real person until, 6 months after you've known somebody for a while. You know what I mean? Like that's basically that's about what it takes. Anywho. I'm not feeling super fucking communicative tonight. So my apologies for the long silences. I'm in a pondering mood. Sometimes I just like to think and not run my mouth. I know, shocking. Every once in a blue moon. Anyway, I'm out of here. Have a good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. Bye.